Welcome, lovers, to another episode of Oh So Smitten, the wedding podcast. If you're in your bride era, then this podcast needs to be your new obsession. I can't believe it, but today I'm chatting with the beautiful Christina, who is the owner and creator of the iconic Flossy Cart. Choosing Flossy to be a part of your day transports you back to your childhood, bringing an element of nostalgia. Their hand-spun floss uses natural ingredients and flavors inspired by all things delicious, seasonal, and out of the ordinary. All of the floss is also vegan, dairy, alcohol, and gluten-free. Currently servicing Byron Bay and areas across Queensland and New South Wales, there is just endless opportunities to incorporate and have Flossy as part of your day. Whether you welcome guests with floss topping, a glass of bubbly, or a signature cocktail, use the Flossy Cart as a mobile bartending service or bundle up some sweet flavored floss as guest gifts, it will be an iconic moment to remember for years to come. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to remind you of a sweet little discount that the Whole Bride have shared with the Smitten listeners. If you're after a confetti moment as you walk back down the aisle, then you definitely need to order the iconic confetti from the Whole Bride. It's biodegradable and also comes in a range of colors to suit any theme. Use the code SMITTEN in capitals to receive 15% off site-wide. I mean, we all love a discount, right? But let's get into today's episode. I'm so sad I couldn't have Flossy a part of my day, so I'm here to share all the love with you. Welcome, Christina. Oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm living all my childhood dreams by talking all things Flossy with you today. So thank you so much for taking your time to chat with me.
Thanks so much for having me.
Let's just dive straight into it. So tell us all about Flossy, and those who are listening and clearly living under a rock and don't know about the iconic Flossy. Tell me all.
So Flossy is very bougie fairy floss. I started this business. I wanted to actually create that nostalgic feeling you have as a child, but through the adult palate. So obviously they come on sticks like you would expect, but the main difference is the flavors and how it incorporated into your cocktails. I think what blows couples away the most is when they find out that there's creme brulee fairy floss. They're like, I never knew there was such a thing. I think having these really beautiful flavors that can pair really well with what you're serving for your drinks just creates that really cool experience for your guests.
Yeah, it's just like a match made in heaven. Like, who wouldn't want to like pair it with your champagne and your cocktails with like added fairy floss? Amazing.
Like, who doesn't love an espresso martini with a creme brulee fairy floss?
Oh my gosh. I think, to be honest, that was one of the biggest things that blew my mind was when I met you at that beautiful event, A Darling Affair, and the fact that there's all these different flavors. I was like, sorry, excuse me, we're not just going standard fairy floss, there's flavors.
There is no such thing as a pink and blue floss at Flossy. That does not exist.
It's like elevated. It takes it to a whole new level. And I guess that's why people are choosing it to have a part of their day, because it's adding all those elements together and making it, as you say, so bougie, which we all aim for.
Yeah, I can't help myself.
Oh, I love it so much. And do you find that that is just like what you are experiencing with couples' reactions or even guests when they have it as part of their day and guests are coming up to you? Are you just getting that reaction from them as well?
100%. I mean, they're like, there's tiramisu fairy floss. Like, I just was at One Fine Day in Sydney, and so I was giving out thousands of samples, and to just watch people's like jaw drop, and they're like, actually tastes like tiramisu. And I was like, oh, that's good. I did my job. Otherwise,
That was my goal, so that's great that I'm reaching it.
yeah, and like I love converting like the guys who are kind of like, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't want to try like any floss. And then when they actually taste it, they're like, yeah, let's book.
Yeah, I want more and I'll be here all night.
So you're like, what else do you got? I was like, actually 30 flavors. I'm here all day. We could try them all.
Exactly. How I came across Flossy to begin with was definitely on my Instagram. I saw it, and obviously our algorithms aligned because I am always aiming for all the bougie things a part of weddings. So I'm thankful for the algorithm for sharing with me that day. Now, how did it come about? So how did you come up with the concept?
Well, I had a dessert business that I ran with my husband for for about 6 years prior to this business. I sold that in September 2019, launched this one the same week that the world shut down in March 2020. So it was perfect timing. So I had obviously that experience with flavor combinations and just understanding the palette and delivery. But to be completely honest, I just wanted this at my wedding, and it was totally selfish. I really wanted to create an experience for my guests. And I also have a lot of allergies. And so a typical, beautiful, creamy cake just couldn't happen for me. Just creating that experience and having that nostalgic moment as a child, like what better way to sort of incorporate that? I just wanted it to be fun.
Oh, well, you've definitely done exactly that. And I love that this was just all came about because of what you were wanting for your day. I'm sure that it's just grown because people are also seeing it and going, that's actually a non-negotiable as part of my day.
I mean, it was totally selfish. I wasn't thinking about anybody out there. I just wanted this at my wedding.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's like me, it's like not those big ticket vendors like your Celebrant and your photographer and things like that. I would be like, I don't care what's happening, but I'm having Flossy as part of my day.
Yeah, I mean, those ones are kind of the not fun ones to book first, It's like, they're crucial. You do need them.
Yeah, you got to make it official and you need to capture all the memories. So without those things, it's not really a wedding.
They're kind of necessary, but so is floss.
Floss is always necessary.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what Flossy offers. So there's just a range of things that you can bring to people's events or to weddings. What are those?
Pretty much the cart is the experience. So actually having it like hand spun for your guest and having them be able to order off of a menu, the actual couple decides. They narrow it down off the 30 options that I have. Some couples make their own flavor, which has actually been really fun. All the floss on the sticks that are just being hand spun, which is unlimited during the event, during like the booking. I also offer flavor bags. So that's really great for your guests when they're traveling and they're just needing a little to pick me up on the plate, or they've got children waiting at home. They just seem like the best parent ever when they walk through the door with like a bag of floss.
I'm sorry, but mine would not be waiting for the plane. Like mine would be gone.
Some people take at least 2 bags, one for like when they get home and then one for the plate. Which I'm so happy.
One for now and one for later.
But then also having the garnishing for your cocktails and your champagne. That's a huge one.
That's necessary, really. So you can add it to people's champagnes or like their cocktails.
Yes, I would do like a raspberry and rose water with bubble. I would do like a salted kefir lime floss with the margarita. Do like a black cherry floss with the amaretto sour. It's really just a lychee and raspberry with a lychee martini, divine. So it's just going. Yeah.
I really wish we organized to do this in person, as you suggested before we started recording, because I would be down for samples.
No, I told you, I'm happy to come to Brisbane.
I love that you have all of the knowledge of the palette and knowing like what to pair it with.
Yeah, so one of the flavors that really throws people is a strawberry margarita. So that's tangy and salty and sweet all at once. And they're like, when they try it, some people are like, why is black sea salt on fairy floss? And it's like, because I'm designing this for the adult palate, not the kids. Like, it's not that sickening sweet when you think of normal fairy floss. This is taking the real ingredients and infusing into the sugar and actually delivering that beautiful flavor.
How long did it take you to get control of that?
Okay, do you want the real story?
Yeah.
When I bought the actual fairy floss machine, the guy who sold it to me was like, oh, this is going to take you at least 600 goes to get it on the stick. I'm like, he clearly doesn't understand that, like, I've had a dessert business before and, like, I'm not an idiot, right? Like, I can do this. I think it took me, like, 1,000 times to, like, get it on the stick. It looks so effortless, and, like, that's the whole, like, experience. But it's actually pretty tricky. And I feel like my mood of like spinning, I have to get in this like meditative zone because otherwise it can just like go haywire.
Is there also a time to it as well? Like to get the timing right? I feel like that would also play a part in it.
Yes, all of that plays a huge role. But there was a wedding that I did a couple weeks ago, and the couple, they decided to make fairy floss together and like feed it to each other rather than actually have a cake cutting. So cute. So fun.
Perfect photo opportunities.
Yeah, so I give them like a little crash course, like for 5 seconds. And then I actually put it on the stick just a little bit. So then that way when they're doing it, they're thinking that they're winning. It just makes it.
Oh, so that's a part of it, is getting it initially started.
Yeah, totally. It's having that sort of moment of them making the floss, they're like, oh, this is easy. And then I'm thinking, you have no idea.
Yeah, I'll get you started. So it looks like for your video that you've just absolutely nailed it.
Exactly.
So you're based in Byron. So let's talk about travel opportunities with the business. Because obviously, I'm assuming there's you and one Flossy Cart.
That's right. I designed this business where I could just do it all. And that's because I actually really love what I do. Best job in the world. But I actually travel from New South right through to Sydney. Obviously, there's travel cost incorporated in some of those locations, but I'm currently scouting for the right people where I can share this flossy business with as far as like their own territory. That way I can actually set up a couple carts down in Sydney and down in these other locations where the travel costs might be a little bit over the budget where they're not able to do it. So by having someone actually based in that territory, ideally long term, that would cut that cost out. But at the moment, super happy to travel and I go all over and do all kinds of different things.
So it's not just weddings. Let's talk about the different events that you can also offer, just in case someone has already said I do, but they're like, oh, maybe I could create another event to have Flossie there.
Pretty much just do the best job, best events in Australia. My husband thinks Australia's like top location tour. He's like, well, this isn't a job. This is just like touring the best venues. I was like, technically, I'm getting paid, so it is a job. Yeah, so I literally do everything from corporate functions, corporate Christmas parties to store openings. I mean, I opened up shoe stores and all kinds of sort of corporate function related birthday parties, hens parties, baby showers, baby reveals. So I can actually like do the reveal with the color of the floss out of the machine, or I could actually take white floss and have it either like the color of the reveal inside the floss. And so when the guests push the floss into the champagne, it'll turn the bubbles color of the reveal. So there's all kinds of different events that I do. Weddings obviously are a big one, but yeah, all kinds of stuff.
I love that you can just be so creative with it, with all the different elements of different events and different reasons why people want it there. That is so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere where you're just wanting to create an interactive sort of experience that's fun for your guest, that's an event that I'll be at.
Flossie isn't just fairy floss, and recently you have launched some exciting new products. Tell us a little bit more about this.
So this is how my brain works. I think of a new idea every hour on the hour. And I've been working on this one for about the past 6 months. I just recently launched it. You might have heard of these already, but they are these edible discs that can float on top of your cocktail, right? Anything on them. They eventually dissolve into your drink without adding any sort of taste or smell. And it's a real cool way of sending message to your guests. So like for me, my personal, if I had to get married again, I'd be putting my dog's face on it. So, anything you want, you can put your face on it, whatever, anything go.
I love that. And in recent episodes, I'm always the one who's bringing up how obsessed I am with like a signature cocktail moment. So any way to elevate that or just bring like a different vibe to a signature cocktail is just so incredible. So people can choose that to have on as part of an additional Flossy package.
Yeah, or they can just buy it on their own and I can post it to them. It's totally custom. Pretty much actually everything that I do is custom. So you can customize the favor bags. Also, you can actually brand the floss on it, the stick, and eat it. For instance, with the tiramisu, I'll do like a cocoa powder, like sprinkled all over. But rather than having it all over, I'll concentrate it into one area and actually be able to embroider or not embroider.
Emboss almost?
Yeah, your new initials or anything on the actual floss. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And I've seen images of it too, like on your socials and on your website.
So, you can just personalize a message or, having the little details is what people remember in weddings, Those little moments that really represent the couple.
It's those little things that make it that bougie element, those finer details, which I am just always obsessing over.
I feel like those are the photo moments and those are what people remember and talk about. They're just like, can you believe that I like literally ate your new initials on the fairy floss?
I know. And I mean, you get so excited if people choose to be changing their name. They get excited about what that's going to look like and how they're going to sign their new name and what it's going to sound like when they say their new name when they're pronounced married, which is really amazing.
Definitely. I mean, it doesn't even have to be that though. It can be the date or it can be a message or it can be
something that just represents the couple.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you share with those listeners that we have today about the process So what that looks like from when they inquire all the way through until the day of their event, or in our case, wedding.
Yeah, sure. Pretty much they would just go on to flossybarnbay.com. There's a little inquiry form that they would just fill out and shoot over. My first step was just to make sure I'm available. If I am, then I'll shoot over them just like a Flossy info pack. So this gives them just ideas of how to incorporate Flossy, different pricing options. But I've also done like more of an a la carte menu where they can actually create their own package based on their own vision and their own budget. It's pretty much just based on timing. So they can do an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then they can add if they want to do a bubble bar, or I can work with the venue to make that vision come alive just by topping the floss. For instance, when I did an event down at the Ivy, there was a huge numbers coming through. So I just worked with the venue and the bartender. So they shook up all the espresso martinis, and then they would come over with trays of the cocktails, and then I would just floss it with the creme brulee floss right before they went to go be served to their guests. Depending on the venue determines sort of which package works best. So at Summer Grove, for instance, the couples, they would order the bubbles through the Summer Grove. And then when I arrived, Summer Grove would then supply me the bubbles on the cart. I would then supply the glassware and everything else that's needed. And then depending on the numbers as well, they would then have a server that worked at Summer Grove also come behind the cart. And that way we can
work together.
As soon as the ceremony is over, the whole cart is covered in champagne with a raspberry rosewater floss topping, and like it's on, right? So there's lots of different.
And I love that you have that experience with working with all these different venues. So you can share that with couples and be like, yep, I've done so many weddings at this particular venue. This is how it works. And it's just going to be seamless on that day. I think that that makes couples like, it's quite comforting for them.
Yeah, but also they don't have to worry about it. If I haven't worked at that venue before, I'll just directly get in touch with them and we'll just tweak out the way how to like make that vision come alive. So all easy. After we sort of tweak out which package they want, a 50% deposit is due just to confirm that date. And then 2 weeks before the event is on, the remaining 50% is due. And then I arrive and bump in and yeah.
Create dreams for the couple.
I know, the best job ever.
I love that. I love just hearing about the process and how easy, I guess, that's like probably the biggest thing to mention is like how easy it is for couples. I mean, the biggest thing, and I'm sure it's with so many vendors within the wedding industry, is availability.
Yes.
What is your availability looking like? You're probably not even talking about 2023 anymore, and it's all about 2024 and beyond.
I actually just took a 2025 booking yesterday. I was like, should I be open?
Hang on.
I'm like, is 2025 a thing already?
I know. And in the wedding industry, it is though, isn't it? And sometimes I think to myself, as a celebrant, I think, I don't even know who I'm going to be in 2025.
But I definitely know I will still be loving doing this until for 25.
Yeah.
So like thinking like if my husband and I need to go on holidays, he needs to get in quick.
I know. You need to get those holiday dates
Yeah.
booked out so that, yeah, you can definitely have that relaxation time because it's definitely needed. As much as the wedding industry is so beautiful, it's so important for the vendors to also take the time. So I guess 2024, are you fully booked? Are you mostly booked?
I say get in touch always because sometimes I can do 2 weddings on one day, depending on the timing and the location. And other times there's other ways if I can't physically bring the cart. So what I can do is actually post large bags, bulk bags of floss to you. You can give those to the bartenders. And as they drinks, they can actually garnish as they go.
Add it.
I can also post favor bag for your guests. And then I can also post the cocktail coasters, which also all your bartenders are doing is pouring drinks and just placing those on top.
Adding it too.
So there's other ways. And then also hens parties. I mean, hello, I can bartend at your hens party.
That would get wild and so much fun with the different cocktails that are being made.
Yeah, exactly. If there's a will, there's a way. And I hate saying no. So I always try and work out another option that you could incorporate floss.
Yeah, so it's great that there's so many different options that if it comes down to availability or pricing, I guess it's giving people those tiered options to be able to have Flossy as part of their day.
Yes, exactly.
Probably one of my favorite questions is like the feedback that you must receive from couples, like after they've said I do, they've had their day, they've maybe had a couple of days or a week to enjoy a honeymoon. Are they reaching back out to you just saying thank you so much?
Yes, 100%. And that's probably one of my favorite things. I mean, usually they're hugging me on the day. They're like, oh, it's amazing. So I obviously get so much feedback. I was actually at a wedding about a month ago. As I was packing down, I kept hearing my name and Flossy in the speeches. So Yeah, like I get immediate feedback, which is great. But then
Mm.
also couples, they reach out. And I think the main thing that they're just so appreciative of is just creating that experience for your guests, and just being so thankful and how their guests just did not stop talking about the whole things. I have a moment, I have these couple hours where I can just bring a lot of joy to people's life. And I really revel in that. I'm very American in that way. Like I want to make everyone feel
The experience, like, speaks for itself. Like,
yeah.
people only have to experience it for themselves, and then before you know it, you're probably like, word of mouth, I'm assuming, is a huge thing, but I guess for people who are at weddings as guests, particularly those ones who are about to say "I do" themselves, they're thinking, "I'm definitely having this as part of my day."
It's funny. I've been in business for about 3.5 years, and this might sound really bizarre, but I've never actually had to pay for advertising because word of
Yeah,
mouth,
I was just thinking that myself.
the charts. So I'll get a corporate function booking, and from that, their birthday party, they'll want their daughter's wedding, and like
Yeah.
they want me back for this shoe store opening. I've opened, I think, 7 of their new stores, so they had that experience. You're 100% right. They
It's
just,
just a roll-on effect.
yeah, yeah. It's so beautiful. It makes me feel great.
Yes, and you should be so proud of how popular it is.
I mean, look, fairy floss has always been popular. That's not going anywhere. But and the way that it's been sort of completely reimagined for the adult palate, that's where
That's the difference. Because to be honest, like, I wasn't expecting that, and maybe people who are listening don't actually realize that that's the difference within it, is that it's not just your sugary, sweet fairy floss. It's so much more.
I don't actually even call it fairy floss. I just call it floss because if you were at the two side by side, it actually isn't the same thing.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but I would never eat normal fairy floss. It's like sickening
I
sweet.
know, anytime I'm with my children somewhere and they're like, "What's that, mummy?" I'm like, "And we're going right."
Yeah,
I
exactly.
was recently lucky enough to meet you at the event, A Darling Affair, and oh my gosh, that was just such a dream. When I saw you that you were, 1, a part of their day, but then also got to come up and try the beautiful floss, I just thought, "This is the best day of my life." Where else can couples find you at any upcoming events that you have on to be able to try it, to meet you, and just chat about how they can have you on their day?
I love a good old fashioned phone call. I always encourage the couples just to call me and explain their vision, and I can sort of roll with them and be able to help them figure out when the cart is needed and suited and all of that. But if they actually want to try floss, I can post samples, but also there's a couple events that's coming up. So August 13th, I'll be at the Valley Estate Open Day. August 27th, Sanctuary Cove, they're doing an open day as well. And then for all the vendors out there, the fellow vendors, September 13th, Ludfest, Burley, the Tropic, they are doing a long lunch for all the wedding vendors.
Oh
And
my
I
gosh,
will be
I love that. And so great that it is for all the vendors within the industry because they deserve to be celebrated.
100%. They're such hard workers and they put every ounce of love into every single event they do. So, yeah, it's always really great to have these events where we just can sort of snowball and share,
Yeah,
enjoy. I mean, it's probably the one industry where everyone really loves what they do. It's always a really great,
excuse to celebrate.
yeah, absolutely.
What plans do you have in the future for Flossie?
Well, new products, definitely new flavors are always coming through. I love using seasonal ingredients to sort of inspire new flavors, new carts as well. And hopefully we will get some new locations. I'd love to find the right people to be able to offer a Flossy Cart for their territory. That would be awesome to be able to just have more carts, to be able to say yes to more events.
Share the love with everyone.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure it's hard when you have to tell a couple that you're already booked and they wanted you and the in-person experience. I'm sure that's the hardest part of your job.
I don't say no very easily. So yeah, that's the worst part for sure.
Now, can you tell me a little bit about your wedding day and your experience, and if you have any advice for those couples who are on their journey?
Sure. We got married almost 10 years ago, and we were obviously in the vet industry for that period. So we decided to literally take a piece of grass and completely make it a function within 4 months. It
Amazing.
was
Stressful, but amazing. amazing.
But yeah, it was amazing. And I think the best thing that we did is we just threw the rule book out. We just made it us. We weren't looking at the trends. We were just looking at like what represents us and what is going to create an incredible experience for our guests. And that mindset really did create a timeless, incredible moment that is still one of the best days of our life.
That is so sweet. And I think it's so important for people to hear that from people who have been through the journey and understand that they just need to make their day so unique to them, because sometimes you get caught up in all the noises and all the chaos.
Exactly. Just do you and don't feel guilty for anything and don't feel like you need anything. And as long as you're doing right by the couple, that will show in the event. Everyone will have a great time and love it.
Yeah, people need to be reminded. Sometimes you just in that phase of the planning journey, and sometimes it can get all too much. So it's like just take a moment to reflect and remember what it is all about. And it's about you and your partner, sharing your vows and making it official.
Exactly. And you know what? It's all worth it. I don't regret spending the money. I don't regret spending the time and the effort, because it literally was one of the best days of our life. And to be able to share that with the people you love the most and just making it your own. So when we were doing our signing with our Celebrant, I had my friend get all of our guests in a big circle. And so when we entered, after literally making it official, a few friends knew what was going on. And so we came through the middle of this big circle and we just yelled out, "Group hug."
Aww.
And this is like amazing sharing of love and joy. And like, that is priceless. All the invoices and all the emails and all the detail, it's worth it. Just keep going.
Worth it. So precious. Now, one question I do want to ask before we go is with the flavors, I'm really curious to know like how you come up with those flavors.
Well, having the previous experience in the dessert business, that helped sort of create
It's like a foundation.
Yeah, but it's also like I love to, like when my husband and I go somewhere, we go to like the really nice restaurants because we really enjoy like flavor combinations.
Yeah, it's something that you value.
Yeah, so when I go to the farmer's market, I'm like, okay, a finger line, what would this finger line go with? And like, what would the Davison plum powder go with? And like, just being able to just immerse ourselves in this region with such incredible fresh ingredients, that's where the inspiration starts. And pretty like lucky to have so many different options.
Is there lots of taste testing involved?
Oh my gosh, yes.
This is why you love your job so much.
Oh, we're like, please, can you try this one? He's like, I don't want to try anymore. He's not a sweet tooth. He doesn't have a sweet tooth at all. I like dessert at all.
And I love that you give the couple at times, I know you mentioned before, that opportunity to be able to create with you. So they might have a flavor that they are kind of considering for their day or adding it to a signature cocktail moment, which I adore. So yeah, talk us through that.
So I had this couple, she wanted to create a barfi flavor. I'd never heard of flavor at all. And it's kind of like a Middle Eastern dessert that's super famous, but obviously I'd never been able to try it.
Yeah.
Mainly the other reason I wasn't able to try it is because it has dairy in it and I am allergic to it. So when she asked, I was like, okay, sure, I'll make it for you. Like, let's make barfi floss. The problem was I couldn't try barfi dessert. So I was like,
right, because of your allergies.
wow. So anyways, I researched the flavor profile and tried to create that flavor. I posted it to her and I was so nervous. I'm thinking, oh God, I really screwed this up. And she was blown away. She was like,
oh my gosh.
exactly like barfi. And I was like, are you serious?
I just got goosebumps.
I mean, like one of my favorites as well is like matcha. I don't know if you love matcha tea, but like the bitterness in matcha with the sweetness of the floss, it's just this like, there's nothing that's overpowering. So it's really get inspiration from teas and drink. I can do a Chardonnay floss, like I can do a sangria floss, a light tea, like anything.
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, we're catching up and we're just like having a real like taste testing moment. I'll be like, yeah, I'm organizing a wedding.
But I think the other thing is like, how are they going to incorporate it into their day as well as determining the flavor combination, right? So if they're wanting to use me for cocktail hour, it's like, okay, what drinks are you using? And so with that, it's like, how are we going to power? Is the cocktail going to be sweet? So let's do a tart floss.
Yeah.
Is the drink hot? Okay, let's do a sweet or salty floss. Like, let's tweak those pairings. So that way, it's like, not only is it...
I think I've just smiled this whole recording.
I know, it's so fun. But then let's say the couple wants to use Flossy as like after dinner for like a dessert, right? Or is it like a cake replacement? There's lots of different ways that couples use floss. But
it's a cake replacement.
wow, yeah.
Fun.
Some weddings I'll roll the Flossy Cart after dinner with the cake on there. So they'll have the cake cutting and they'll make the floss and it'll be like a dessert. Other times they'll forego
Yeah.
the cake and have just the flossy. There was one wedding that I did and they did a gelato stand and they did a cannoli stand and it was just like a dessert festival. It was amazing.
They are dream couple goals.
But like the couple just loved everything dessert, like that was just something that was so them, So yeah, in that sense, then I would be having like a white chocolate, raspberry floss or a salted caramel floss or something more
Yeah.
desserty that might not pair as well.
The passion just like oozes from you. Like when you're talking about it, you can see how much you just love it on your face. And also just the knowledge. I think that's just like an added element is to have that person who's telling you this paired with this would be really beautiful because I would have no idea.
For instance, when I do the espresso martinis, I would forego the simple syrup. And so when the creme brulee floss goes on the side, it just adds that perfect level of sweetness with a hint of caramel notes to it.
Yeah.
And it's literally the best cocktail ever. My mouth's watering. It's like not
I
even
know,
lunchtime.
me too. I'm about to go out to lunch with my mum, and now I really believe that I'll be ordering espresso martini, but minus the floss, which is such a shame.
That's such a shame. Yeah, definitely have a boozy lunch.
Oh, always. Now, you mentioned before that you have your website, which is obviously where people can go to, I assume, book your service, whereas you also have your social media, which, I mean, that's just a vibe in itself. Like the pink, the flossy sign, like it's just so gorgeous. Is your website the best place for people to get in contact with you, or is Instagram?
Yeah, whatever's easy for them. It's just about making that connection and however that is. I love a good old fat as well. The first step is just to make sure I'm available and just try and find that date. And then everything else.
Lock in the date, people. So important.
Yeah, I mean, you might not know all the details of the timing of how exactly when you want the car, but later, closer to the date, then that's when we can work out the details. But there's also so many. I also just like to share different weddings and stuff I've done previously, just to give couples ideas of like what different options are there, and like not every couple is so different. I had a wedding where a lot of their guests traveled from quite afar. We all got dropped off on a bus, and they kind of had to like walk up in these incredible dresses and stilettos up this hill to get to the ceremony site. On those stop, like on the walk, I was set up there and I just welcomed them with a glass of bubbles and a water floss on the side just to set the mood of like, get ready. We're here to celebrate and we're just setting the mood.
I
So,
really
like,
love that. You're setting the tone of the day, particularly when you are there prior to the ceremony. If you're the
yeah,
first vendor that people see, people are just thinking in their head, this is going to be good.
yes, exactly. And you should have seen how happy these people were to like walk up this big hill and be greeted with a glass of cold bubbles. And it's like, and then there's floss. It's like, what is
There's floss too. It's just that added element.
yeah.
I want to compare it to confetti, like another childhood dream. And as a celebrant, I'm always telling people to like have confetti as part of their like walking back down the aisle moment. And you never see anyone unhappy around confetti, just like I'm sure you have never seen anyone unhappy that there's floss added to their drink.
This is why I think I do have the best job in the world because I actually never deal with unhappy people. They're always so happy.
I know. And same. Like I would have to be able to say the same thing too. Like as a celebrant, you are just getting people at their favorite point in their life.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel so lucky to be able to even be able to do this. Yeah.
I have just loved chatting with you today, and I feel like I've even learned so much more about what it is that you do and that what you offer. I think that even as I was doing like obviously my Insta stalk on all the things on your Instagram, it's just the variety of things that you offer and just being able to create a package of what you're wanting.
Yeah. I think the great thing is whatever your vision is and your budget is, I can tweak it, make it exactly that. And I think that's what I would want. It's like I had my own ideas, my own budget and everything. It's like, and I'm just really happy to make that vision come alive. So
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if I went back through my like Pinterest board from my wedding. I got married back in 2017 and I am sure, like I'm almost positive Flossie is on there.
no way. Oh my
No,
goodness.
I'm gonna go actually have a look on my phone once we finish this and have a look because that is just dream. So thank you so much for chatting with me today. I cannot wait to share this episode with all the beautiful couples who are planning their day and just sharing what the amazing things that you do.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun.
Now, lovers, that is all there is time for today. I hope you adored this episode just as much as I did. As you indulge, be sure to share away on your socials, tagging at @ohsosmitten_ so I can feature you and of course do a sneaky follow and stalk on your wedding day. I would be so grateful if you could leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast, 5-star of course, and share the love of the podcast to those who are about to walk down the aisle. Be sure to check out and join the official Smitten Love Book over on Facebook. These are our people, because remember, no one loves talking about your wedding day more than those about to say I do. I'm here to make your day that little bit more intentional and curated with all the finer details. Within this community, choose kindness, and as always, I acknowledge the land in which I'm recording this podcast. I can't wait to chat next week, lovers. Bye-bye.